Southeast of Outpost Zamonja is the General Atomics Galleria. Upon entering, a greeter robot approaches you telling you that the Galleria is closed.
Welcome to the General Atomics Galleria. You must be our new supervisor.
Yeah, and I'm the governor of Massachusetts, too.
Provisional Governor Graham? Why, Mum, it is an honor. I must say that explains the delay. I'm sure you're quite a busy woman. Well, let me be the first to welcome you to your new assignment. Once you've had a chance to get settled in, you should report to the director. His office is located in the statue in the center of the plaza. The Galleria is currently closed to the public, but staff and employees are permitted on the grounds, of course. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to assist you.
What is this place?
The General Atomics Galleria is the shopping center of tomorrow today. Our wide array of stores are staffed entirely by the General Atomics line of robots, showcasing the reliability and versatility of a robotic workforce. Come in and experience the General Atomics difference.
Who's the director?
General Atomics' patented Director Management System, DMS, is responsible for coordinating the actions of the robots here at the Galleria. The director allows the Galleria to operate autonomously, without the need for human intervention.
Why is the Galleria closed?
I'm sorry, but due to pending litigation, I am unable to comment. Please direct your inquiries to the General Atomics Legal Affairs Division.
Now you could go directly to speak with the director, but why is the Galleria closed? Let's inspect all of the different shops here to find out why. Upon entering, the first shop on your right is a Slocum's Joe. A robot named Bean offers you some coffee.
Welcome to Slocum's Joe. Can I set you up with a nice hot cup of coffee? On the house.
Is that all you've got?
I'd offer you some of our world-famous donuts, but I'm afraid they went stale a few weeks ago. Pretty much everything else has, too, come to think of it. So, the coffee's about all that's left. Can I get you some?
Sure.
Coming right up. Here at Slocum's Joe, all of our coffee is heated to a perfect 200 degrees Fahrenheit. You might want to stand back. You must be bloody stupid if you can't hide from me.
Due to a numerical repetition glitch, Bean gave you coffee that was 200 degrees hot. That caused the air around you to catch on fire, turning Bean hostile. You're forced to kill him. Directly next to Slocum's Joe is Pirelli's Bakery. The proprietor of this bakery is a friendly robot named Crisp.
Please take a number for faster service. Number 12. Please wait until your number is called. Please wait your turn.
He refuses to speak with you unless you are holding the correct ticket number. You find tickets all over the floor of the bakery. Some are scattered on the floor outside. There's even one in the hands of a female skeleton inside the nearby preservation chamber. The numbers on these tickets, though, are way outside the range that Crisp is asking for. The lowest number I found was 22. I got some 40s, 60s, going all the way up to 80s. But the problem is that Crisp stops counting at 20 and repeats himself.
20. Anyone? Let's try this again. Number 12.
Meaning that he never calls the numbers for the tickets that you actually have. I'm beginning to see why the Galleria is closed. It looks like these robots are malfunctioning. If you try to go into the kitchen...
Number 13. Just what do you think you're doing? Get out! Out! Now, did you not 14. Read the signs? Employees only! Get out of my kitchen! 15. Out! Does anyone have 15?
I'm not sure why Bethesda decided to give such surly personalities to bakery robots, but there you are. Next to Pirelli's Bakery is Fallon's Department Store, managed by the handy robot Reg.
Who's there? Are you a customer? Now you listen here. Every single item in this store is exactly where it belongs. Exactly. It's taken me years to get it all in order. You can look if you want.
If you decide to be an anarchist rebel and move even one thing, Reg attacks. Now, there's a lot of interesting clothing in here, and you may be tempted, but wait until you finish the primary quest of this place to go looting. Once you do, the owned tag on all of the loot in this place gets removed, meaning that you can loot it without getting in trouble for stealing. Next to the department store is Back Alley Bowling, but that's an interior cell. We'll do that one last. Next to Back Alley Bowling is Handy Eats, managed by a robot named Waitron.
Welcome to Handy Eats, where serving you is our code. Table for one?
What's with all the bodies?
We do have a lot of satisfied customers, don't we? They almost never leave. I still have one booth left. It'd be my pleasure to serve you.
Sure.
Right this way, hon. That's better. Now, how can we serve you today? Charbroiled? Diced? Mashed?
Wait, what?
At Handy Eats, serving you is our code.
It seems like Waitron is confused. He has been programmed to serve you, but he interpreted that as actually serving you, as if you were the food to be served. You are forced to kill him and the cook, Cook Handy.
Actually, I'm not hungry after all.
What a shame. All right, well, perhaps another time.
We'll learn why these particular robots are malfunctioning by reading the Handy Eats terminal entries. We see a wait list that is unsurprisingly completely empty, and then we find the 3 principles of Handy Eats. Number 1, serving you is our code. See how that was misinterpreted? Number 2, at Handy Eats, food is fresh, fast, and flavorful, or it's free. And number 3, at Handy Eats, robotic precision yields dining perfection. We find a note from a programmer named Isaac who says he implemented those 3 principles as requested, but he's concerned because he thinks, quote, laws like this are always subject to miscalculations and prioritization failures in real-world settings. It's no coincidence that the programmer's name is Isaac. I think this is a direct reference to Isaac Asimov, who came up with the 3 rules of robotics, which are, number 1, a robot may not injure a human being or through an action allow a human being to come to harm. Number 2, a robot must obey the orders given it by human beings except where such orders would conflict with rule number 1. And number 3, a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the second or first laws. Asimov actually wrote a 4th law of robotics, which he numbered number 0, which goes, a robot may not harm humanity or by inaction allow humanity to come to harm. Anyway, the idea is that these laws could be misinterpreted by the robots programmed to fulfill them. We learned that this actually happens in the Automatron DLC, but I'll save that for a video on another day. It certainly happened here. The robots here misinterpreted the word serve, which meant that they killed the patrons of the Handy Eats restaurant. We find their skeletons still sitting in the booths, ready to be served. Next to Handy Eats is the General Atomics outlet, managed by a robot named Sprocket.
Wonderful! You're just in time for today's product demonstration. Right this way, please. General Atomics, the world leader in consumer robotics. Our dependable line of Mr. Handy household robots will free you from the drudgery of housework forever. From chores to childcare, errands to entertaining, no task is too big for Mr. Handy to handle. And our models are legendary for their reliability and durability. With proper servicing, your Mr. Handy can last a lifetime. For military clients, General Atomics is proud to offer our Mr. Gutsy product line, complete with the latest in high-tech military hardware.
All right, you commie bastards! How do you like this? Kill them all, and let God sort them out! Eat this, you commie bastard!
It's clear how this one malfunctioned. The Mr. Gutsies attacked shoppers. We find their skeletons lying next to the Mr. Gutsies on display. 200 years has not been kind to the Mr. Handys on display in this outlet store. When Sprocket introduces them, they fall to pieces during the demonstration, allowing you to loot their insides. In the cash register is a key that allows you to open up a locked door that just has some minor loot inside. Next to the General Atomics outlet is Madden's Boxing Gym, managed by a robot boxer named Mac. When you get close, he wants to get you in the ring to fight another robot named the Champ.
You there! Yes, you! Don't be shy. Step into the ring. See if you can last a round against the Champ, the world's greatest boxing instructor. Go on, get in the ring. All right, put him up. Put him up. Error, unhandled exception in boxing module. Lethal protocols engaged. Round 1, fight!
The result is what by now is a predictable outcome. We are forced to kill these robots, including the Champ and Mac and Merchant Danny in the back. If you don't attack, Danny won't sell anything to you.
No sales until the match is over.
He tells you that you have to defeat your opponent first. The last building is Back Alley Bowling. As you enter, a robot named Tenpin tells you to come closer.
Welcome to Back Alley Bowling. Step right this way and I'll get you all set up.
But if you ignore him and keep walking, all of the Mr. Handys turn hostile.
Stop! You have to pay! Ready or not? Here I come. Come at me!
If instead of walking by you talk to them, you see a number of speech checks that you have to pass in order to continue to look around.
Do you mind if I just take a look around?
Oh, all right. I suppose we aren't that busy. Go ahead.
Once you pass the speech checks, you can explore the bowling alley without the robots attacking you. Now, if you looted the General Atomics ID card from the General Atomics factory, which I covered in a video last week, Tenpin will tell you about the supervisor's terminal in the back.
Is there an employee discount? Got my ID?
An employee? Then you must be. You're our new supervisor, aren't you? Your office is in the back. Please, go on through. But once you've settled in, you really should report to the director in the statue out front. He's been expecting you.
He also offers to sell you a game of bowling for 5,000 pre-war money.
Here to bowl? Just $5,000 a game.
$5,000? That's ridiculous.
Poverty is never something to feel ashamed of. Do come back when you can afford it.
Do you take caps?
Bottle caps? Of course not! Legal tender only!
If you actually have the money on you, you can purchase it.
I can't believe I'm actually doing this. All right. Here.
Very well. Feel free to pick any open lane. They aren't working at the moment, but as soon as a service technician shows up, I'll have him start with your lane first.
But nothing happens, the game isn't fixed. They say they're gonna come by and fix it someday, but you basically just wasted 5,000 pre-war money. Incidentally, this is a great place to find bowling balls for the unique striker weapon from Far Harbor. You can walk away with 39 bowling balls by completely looting this place. Heading round back, we find the supervisor's terminal. It's locked, which means you're gonna need Hacker to gain access to it, but you can find a key to this terminal on the body of the previous supervisor. We haven't found his body yet, but I'll show you where to find it soon. This terminal gives us the rundown of what actually went on here at the General Atomics Galleria. The field directives note tells the supervisor exactly what his role will be. This Galleria was designed by General Atomics to be a real-world display of how their handy robots can be used to replace regular human activities. Their goal with this place was to make it completely autonomous, run by robots. However, federal law required that they actually have one human on site. General Atomics is upset by this and they resent the fact that they have to have a human on site. So they tell the supervisor that even though he has to be here, he shouldn't do anything. They say do not interfere with any of the robots. You are to remain in your office unless otherwise directed. Now we can understand more why Kincaid was so upset about being transferred from the General Atomics factory to the General Atomics Galleria. He would have had to sit in this office for 8 hours a day, staring at a blank screen. What a nightmare. We learned from the communications logs that the previous supervisor did not follow the instructions and actually tried to work with the robots to deal with them directly. The previous supervisor complained to General Atomics about behavioral changes in the robots. But the company shirked responsibility and instead blamed the supervisor. They say, well, your interventions with the robots are an unexpected variable not accounted for in our robot's original programming, and that makes you responsible, actually, for the behavior changes in these robots. 11 days later, we find that General Atomics is softening a little bit. They say, well, in light of recent events, you are authorized to assist the director robot in identifying malfunctioning robots. Then they say, should any additional fatalities occur, you are further authorized to offer an immediate financial settlement to survivors if there are any. This tells us a little bit more about the extreme ways these robots were malfunctioning. As we have just seen firsthand, these robots would kill patrons unexpectedly, simply because they misunderstood their programming. It's not until 7 days after that that General Atomics officially shuts down the Galleria. They are worried that even the director robot might have somehow been compromised, and so they give the supervisor an emergency manual shutdown code that'll shut down the entire Galleria, including the director. The password was GAIGAL4. You can use this password later when confronting the director. Now, the final note on this terminal is for Kincaid, the very same Kincaid that's being transferred from the General Atomics factory. They say, Kincaid, upon arriving, identify yourself to the director robot atop the statue in the middle of the Galleria. This will trigger a series of firmware updates to all of the robots in the Galleria, fixing their faulty programming. But they say, beware, extreme caution is advised. We believe that the director robot might also have been compromised, and he may have been responsible for the death of your predecessor. This note is 3 months after the final note given to the final supervisor. So it looks like somehow between July and October, the director robot killed the on-site human supervisor, and it wasn't until October that General Atomics got around to finding a replacement. Our very own Mr. Kincaid, the cantankerous old man from the General Atomics factory. At last, it's time to confront the director atop the statue in the middle of the Galleria. Taking an elevator and traveling on up, the back hatch of the director's office opens up. He greets us and immediately interrogates us.
All right, maggot. Step forward. Slowly. Hold it right there. I've been monitoring your approach. Impressive. Very impressive. For a low-life criminal!
I'm not a criminal.
Then what are you? Vandal? Mercenary? Communist?
Well, the Mafia wasn't accepting applications, but I do my best.
That's just what a commie spy would say! Smug bastards.
You've been watching me?
Did you honestly think a state-of-the-art facility like the General Atomics Galleria wouldn't have proper surveillance equipment? And yet, despite all of my sensors, all of my robots, I still don't know why you're really here! Just what are you up to? Who are you working for? I want answers! Wait, the grand reopening? Are you Grand Reopening Supervisor 18 Alpha? You're late.
Now, if we fail our speech checks, or if we tell him that we are not the replacement supervisor, he and the Mr. Gutsy robots here will attack.
Unacceptable! The Galleria is closed! You were warned! Every day is a good day to die!
After they are dead, we find the skeleton of the previous supervisor on the floor with a holotape containing the password to his terminal. If you don't have high hacking, you should get this first, then go back to the bowling alley and get the DMS override password from the terminal using this holotape. But since we already have it, we can go to the terminal in the back of this room and we have 3 options. We can shut down all the robots. This simply makes them inactive and we no longer have the ability to turn them back on. Some of these robots are bugged. Even though you turn them off, some of them continue to shout at you.
Let's try this again.
The second option is to initiate their self-destruct sequence. Needless to say, you can't interact with them again after this. The third option is to initiate the grand reopening. Now you can initiate the grand reopening without killing the director robot, so let's go through the director robot's dialogue options before we initiate the grand reopening. Now if you don't have Kincaid's pass from the General Atomics factory, you can still initiate the grand reopening by passing a few speech checks. The first option is to force the director to confront the reality that it's been 200 years since he last got directions from the General Atomics Company.
Are you Grand Reopening Supervisor 18 Alpha?
Yes. Yes, that's right.
Manual authorization of the Grand Reopening requires authentication, so I'm going to need to see your ID. Sir.
Wait, manual activation? Is there any other kind?
Automatic activation was scheduled for January 1st, 2078. Wait. Analyzing. Corrupt task detected. Task scheduler repaired. Now executing previously scheduled task. Accessing protocols. Stand by for the grand reopening.
If successful, he initiates the grand reopening protocol.
Processing firmware updates. Done. Reinstating combat inhibitors. Done. Designating new facility supervisor. Done. The General Atomics Galleria is now open for business. As the Grand Reopening Supervisor, you will be conducting tonight's Customer Appreciation Raffle. Here is the grand prize. That'll be all, soldier. Dismissed.
The second option is to successfully convince him that you really are the replacement supervisor even though you don't have Kincaid's badge.
Are you Grand Reopening Supervisor 18 Alpha? Manual authorization of the Grand Reopening requires authentication, so I'm going to need to see your ID. Sir.
What ID?
Explanation issued. This is a threat. Present your ID!
I must have dropped it. Could we let this slide?
Analyzing vocal patterns. Confidence interval 85%. Excuse accepted. Accessing protocols.
The final option, if you have Kincaid's badge, is to simply give it to the director.
I'm reporting in. As ordered.
Reporting in? Are you Grand Reopening Supervisor 18 Alpha?
Yes.
So I'm going to need to see your ID. Sir.
Here.
Scanning. ID confirmed. Happy 275th birthday, Mr. Kincaid. Please accept a small token of appreciation for your years of dedicated service. Accessing protocols.
All of these options initiate the grand reopening. Now, if you didn't talk to any of the robots before going to the director, then that means that they're all still alive. And it's important that you keep them alive because if you keep them alive, they download firmware upgrades once you initiate the grand reopening, which fixes their faulty programming, turning them into valuable merchants. When you go to Slocum's Joe, he says that coffee is now self-serve.
What'll it be? Just coffee today?
Sure.
Well then, help yourself. Due to liability concerns, we are now a self-service location.
That is an elegant solution to a frustrating problem. He also becomes a merchant. He'll sell you coffee cups, a coffee pot, hot plates, and other coffee paraphernalia. When you go to Pirelli's Bakery, they've gotten rid of the silly number system.
Welcome to Pinelli's Bakery. My name is Crisp. Can I take your order?
What do you sell?
This is a bakery.
Having a bad day?
You too can enjoy the benefits of personality subroutine 37. Existential despair when you buy your own General Atomics robot. Pick one up today.
But their personalities are as surly as always.
Please stay out of the kitchen, tourist. Now, did you want anything?
Sure. Let's take a look.
Tort? What have we got?
Crisp sells goods like Fancy Lad snack cakes, but also purified water. When you go to the Fallon's department store, they don't care if you touch the clothing.
Good evening. Can I help you with anything, Mum?
What do you have for sale?
Not much, I'm afraid. Our suppliers are dreadfully late, and it looks like most of the appliances have rusted. But I could offer you jewelry, clothes, perhaps some housewares.
Let's see what you got.
We only carry products of the highest quality.
Reg sells an assortment of clothing options including a sea captain's hat, a yellow trench coat, and other random junk. When you return to Handy Eats, they actually serve you without trying to serve you.
Welcome to Handy Eats. Feel free to seat yourself. I'll be right over. Can I take your order?
He sells food like Blamco mac and cheese, bubblegum, but also Nuka-Cola and vodka. At the General Atomics outlet, Sprocket will again try to show off the Mr. Handy models.
Wonderful! You're just in time for today's product demonstration.
This time, however, all of the robots are broken, including the Mr. Gutsies. You can go ahead and loot them.
Are any of your robots for sale?
Our floor models? Why, no! Those are for display only. Normally, I'd be happy to offer you your very own Mr. Handy kit, some assembly required, but I'm afraid we're all out of stock. I'm sure the new models will be arriving any day now.
Sprocket, however, turns into a handy little merchant. He sells robot repair items like oil cans and gas canisters. When you go to Madden's gym, we find that the champ has been destroyed.
Welcome to Madden's. I'm afraid our boxing instructor, the champ, is a little under the weather today. If there's anything you need, I'm sure Danny can help you. Now, if you'll excuse me.
Danny, in the back, has become a chem merchant.
You need something?
What do you have?
Everything a body needs. Health food, supplements, exercise equipment. You name it, Madden's got it. Usually, until we get restocked, all I got are the supplements. Want to take a look?
If you check out the terminal in the back room, you find an option to initiate a Galleria-wide 25% discount. Now that some of these robots have become merchants, this discount will apply to you too. So hitting this option makes everything in the Galleria 25% cheaper for you. Robot programmer Isaac doesn't like this. He doesn't think it makes much sense calling this a manager special, since all of the managers are robots, but I'm just glad it's here regardless. I think it's important to keep all of these robots alive if you can, because their presence as merchants is extremely important at later stages in the game for making money. You need as many merchants alive in the Commonwealth as possible so that you can sell purified water and unwanted ammunition so that you can buy the ammunition that you need, especially if you go a commando build, which eats up ammunition. Finally, in back alley bowling, they no longer attack you if you try to walk towards the bowling lanes.
I'm afraid our lanes are out of order today, but feel free to take a look around. I am sorry about all this. We are due for a good cleaning. It's been, what, a few hundred years?
Sadly, none of the robots in here become merchants. However, you do find a ladder in the back that leads to the roof. Going left, you can find a weapons cache, including a fusion core and fusion cells near a dead skeleton. This is on top of the department store. If you go right towards Madden's gym, you find a cache of chems. And on top of Slocum's Joe Diner, you find a cache of caps. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the full story of the General Atomics Galleria and the purpose for Kincaid's General Atomics ID card that we found in the General Atomics factory. A whole lot of creativity and personality went into this encounter, which I think is hilarious. What did you do in your game? Did you end up killing all of these robots? Or did they end up scaring you away? Let me know in the comment section below. I read all of your comments and I use them as inspiration for my future videos. If you want to chat about this topic with other like-minded individuals on my Oxhorn Discord server, check out the invitation link in the description of this video. And if you like what I do and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming one of my patrons on Patreon. Patreon subscribers gain access to a private channel on my Discord server, as well as a bunch of other cool Oxhorn perks. But more than anything, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just so glad you're here watching this video today. Thanks for watching from the bottom of my heart, and I'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, with a brand new video.
Welcome to the General Atomics Galleria.